It was an ambush in the Oval Office. President Donald Trump pounced on South African President Cyril Ramaphosa when he denied that there was white genocide of Afrikaner farmers in his homeland of South Africa. It was a tense meeting that really, I think President Donald Trump was prepared for and Cyril Ramaphosa was not. The South African media and the South African press followed the South African president into the Oval Office, and they asked some pointed questions of President Donald Trump. One of them was about whether or not he was going to denounce the genocide in South Africa, or whether or not he would stop calling it a genocide in South Africa. Here's what President Donald Trump said.
Mr. President, this time, what will it take for you to be convinced that there's no white genocide in South Africa?
Well, I can answer that for the President. It's for him. No, seriously.
I'd rather have him answer.
Yeah, I'd rather answer. It will be.
Our President will respond to you.
Yeah,
Thank you, Mr. President.
It will take President Trump listening to the voices of South Africans, some of whom are his good friends, like those who are here. When we have talks between us on around a quiet table, it will take President Trump to listen to them. I'm not going to be repeating what I've been saying. I would say if there was Afrikaner farmer genocide, I can bet you these three gentlemen would not be here, including my Minister of Agriculture. He would not be with me. So it'll take him, President Trump, listening to their stories, to their perspective. That is the answer to your question.
But, Mr. President, I must say that we have, we have thousands of stories talking about it. Sure. And we have documentaries, we have news stories, and that. Is Natalie here, somebody here to turn that? I could show you a couple of things, and it has to be responded to.
Yeah, sure.
Let me see the articles, please, if you would, and turn the lights down. Turn the lights down and just put this on. It's right behind you, Johan.
There's nothing this parliament can do.
Yeah, and what President Donald Trump did at that moment was he surprised everybody in the room, the South African president, the director of agriculture, minister of agriculture, and all of the media from South Africa by showing clips from the news, from documentaries, a video montage as only President Donald Trump and his staff can put together. And they put together some pretty rip-roaring fine video montages of clips of South African leaders calling for the death and the murder of white Afrikaner farmers.
There's nothing you can do. There's nothing this parliament can do. With or without you, people are going to occupy land. We require no permission from you, from the president, from no one. We don't care. We can do whatever you want to do. Who are you to tell us whether we can occupy land or not? We are going to occupy land. Yes. South African occupy land. That's who we are.
Honorable member,
want to do. You can withdraw my membership from this useless parliament.
Honorable. Yes, honorable member.
Must never be scared to kill. A revolution demands that at some point there must be killing, because the killing is part of a revolutionary act.
Shoot to kill. Yamaza. Kill the poor, the farmer. Kill the poor, the farmer. Brr, pa, pa.
Yeah, and it went on for minutes. There was lots of shooting the farmer songs. It was a lot of you must not be scared to kill songs. President Donald Trump brought out a bunch of articles and photos that he showed to President Ramaphosa and to the media and to everyone else. And it was an ambush. It was Donald Trump bringing receipts when he was exposed for denying the genocide. Cyril Ramaphosa was shown the facts, the thousands of stories. President Donald Trump was ready, willing, and able to let his friend from South Africa know, we know the truth. And he was asked to respond to that. Here's what he said about potentially denouncing the murders in South Africa.
So you denounced that type of language in the video that you saw?
Oh yes, we've always done so. As government, as my own party, we are completely opposed to that. We, in 1955, adopted a document which said South Africa belongs to all who live in it.
But why wouldn't you arrest that man? That man said, kill the white farmers, kill the white farmers. And then he danced, and he's dancing, and it's kill the white farmers. I'm not sure, but I think if somebody got up in Parliament and started saying, kill a certain group of people, he would be arrested very quickly. That man is going all over South Africa, and that's not a small party. That was a stadium that holds 100,000 people, and I hardly saw an empty seat. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of representation. And those crosses, we have dead white people, dead white farmers, mostly. And you take a look at Australia, they're being inundated, and we're being inundated with people that want to get out. And their farm is valueless. It's valueless. And they just want to get out with their life. And this is a very serious situation.
And Donald Trump will not be taken advantage of in his Oval Office, and he won't be lied to. And that was made clear during this entire back and forth. President Donald Trump hosting, and I guess this guy never saw what happened with Zelensky. I guess he thought this was going to be a friendly meeting. President Donald Trump means business, and he uses the media to his advantage. And when you're sitting in that chair in front of the fireplace in the Oval Office with President Donald Trump, and he has a point to make, he's going to make it. And he doesn't care about your feelings. Facts don't care about your feelings. That's the rallying cry of the conservative movement, and Donald Trump is the leader of said movement. After that, I guess they had dinner or lunch or whatever, and then they moved on their way. President Donald Trump later in the day had a very exciting meeting with the NCAA March Madness National Championship Florida Gators, where they presented him with a jersey and a ball.
With less than 60 seconds left on the clock, Houston led by 1 point. Did you think you were going to win?
I did.
That's what he gets paid for. This guy's good. Houston then fouled Elijah Martin. Okay, wins giving him 2 free throws, which he easily sank. Were you nervous? I always think, here's a guy. He's got to sink this. It's not that easy. I can name a couple of very big players that didn't do too well in that circumstance. Were you nervous when you were up? No. That's pretty good. He sank them both, Coach, right? Oh, if you didn't sink him, you wouldn't be up here right now. And nobody would ever call you again. That's great. That's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure. And then he got, and then Todd Golden. Todd Golden, I'd like to point out how great this is. Todd Golden is the coach of the Florida Gators. They won the championship, and now they're at the White House with Donald Trump, who is ushering in the new golden age. It just seems almost like it was destined to be that way.
Mr. President, thank you so much. And to show a token of our appreciation, we have an autographed team basketball and a Donald Trump jersey with number 47 on it. All right. To honor your 47th term as President of the United States of America.
There was another interesting moment where President Donald Trump met with Oliver Rue in the Oval Office. Oliver Rue, you may remember, he's 7'9". 7'9", this kid, and he met with President Donald Trump in the Oval Office. They took a picture. It is really incredible to see somebody that tall standing pretty much anywhere.
7'9", and you're a beautiful looking guy too. No, it's really to be that tall, and I think it's great. Come on up. It's good. How is he a good player?
Getting there.
Huh?
Getting there.
What a big advantage, huh? Okay. Hold on.
You want to talk about stacking the deck? Having a 7'9" player on your team, you better be a national champion. And then, of course, Donald Trump ended up the day by talking about the big, beautiful bill. I mean, really, the big, beautiful bill is on everyone's mind. The big, beautiful bill that's sitting in Congress. Mike Johnson trying to herald it through, trying to usher in the new era with President Donald Trump's promise of no tax on tips. President Donald Trump's promise of no tax on overtime, added benefits for Social Social Security. And that question about Social Security is one that's come up because President Donald Trump was not able to negotiate no tax on Social Security payments, but he was able to get Social Security representatives, or beneficiaries rather, a much larger tax deduction. And the director of the Social Security Administration was on with Maria Bartiromo to discuss exactly what that bonus means for older adults.
Now, the bill includes a $4,000 bonus for older adults as an alternative to eliminating tax on Social Security. How is this going to impact senior citizens who are collecting income?
Well, in fact, this is the big, beautiful bill. And, I'd say the first 100 days of this presidency is unparalleled. What the president has achieved has never been achieved before. And the things being enacted in this bill, as an example, this $4,000 credit to your taxes gives a tremendous opportunity for low and middle income Social Security recipients to have more cash. So he delivered exactly what he said he was going to deliver.
Oh, he's doing that, yeah, sure.
In a different form on this.
So he did the workaround. Instead of the no tax on Social Security, he was able to deliver a bonus, which is more cash in the pockets of retirees and people who are receiving that. Kevin Hassett was talking about the next version of the bill and how the reduced taxes will have an effect on pretty much every aspect of the economy.
And the bottom line is that this is a bill that's ready for the next version of America, which is a lot of onshoring of activity, but also big tax cuts for the people who need them most. So we've got tax reductions for people who earn overtime. And I met with the president of the UAW in my office a week ago to talk about the hundreds of dollars a week for many people that's going to save. We're cutting taxes on Social Security people. I think one of the biggest tragedies of economic policy in America is that some people retire for Social Security, they don't have enough money, they want to go back to work, and then all that work that they get is taxed. If they make an extra $1, they lose 50 cents, and they get taxed on the rest of it. And there's no tax on tips. And so all of this stuff is helping middle-class Americans get back to work, and that's really great for the economy. But also, the big, beautiful bill has a lot of beautiful stuff in it that nobody's talking about, which is another one of your themes. And so one of the things I like the best is that for every baby, it's in the bill, every baby born in America, then the minute they're born, the government creates a $1,000 account, puts it into the stock market for them so that they've got it when they retire, and then they get to look at that account on their iPhone or their phone for the rest of their lives and see what America is doing for them. And I think that kind of bill is exactly what we need right now. And we don't need, we've extended the tax cuts, which created all this manufacturing in the U.S., but we focused really on the middle class in this bill, and that's why it's going to probably pass tonight or early in the morning, and that's my intel from the meeting with the president today.
I really believe that this MAGA account that they're doing for newborn children, I really believe that is one of the most underrated parts of this entire bill. And I think that moving into the future, I mean, if you think about it, and I don't want to get into compounding interest and that kind of thing in the stock market over the next 60 years. But if you think about it, if you give a newborn baby $1,000 and you leave it in an account untouched until they're 65 and it's invested in the stock market, yes, it'll go up and down, but they're going to know at 65 years of age that they are secure, that they are going to have money, and we won't need to worry about Social Security being tapped. We will not need to worry about Social Security being robbed. We will be using the privatization of Social Security without privatizing Social Security. It's another brilliant workaround by the Trump administration. It is something that, if you go 50 to 60 years into the future, is going to change the scope and the face of the United States of America, and especially our government. Social Security will no longer be anything that we debate. There'll be no longer any talk of seniors having to go back to work. You're going to have every single person in this country accessing an account that has been growing and accumulating and maturing for 6 decades, thanks to the United States government. Why this idea wasn't enacted 50 years ago when I was born, I don't know, but it would have been really helpful knowing that at 65 years of age, I could tap into my MAGA account and find all that money sitting there waiting for me. It's one of the ways that we can slowly wean ourselves from Social Security. And think about this, if we're able to publicly privatize Social Security, which basically is what this is, by giving that $1,000 birth credit. I mean, instead of a child tax credit, you give them a $1,000 cash account. You invest it in the stock market in some kind of mutual fund for every child in America. And at 65, they can use that to retire. Then you won't need Social Security anymore. And if you don't need Social Security anymore, you don't need Social Security taxes anymore. It's a win-win for everybody. The Democrats and several Republicans don't see that, though. So Donald Trump continues to go out and battle. He continues to go out and fight for America. One last thing that happened overnight that President Donald Trump responded to was a very sad story about 2 Israeli embassy staff members who were killed outside the Jewish Museum in Washington, D.C. There was some kind of event. It was an American Jewish committee. I think it was hosting an event on Wednesday night. Yaron Luchinsky and Sarah Milgram, they were engaged or about to be so. They were walking out of the embassy. He is an ambassador to the U.S. He works for the Israeli embassy, and he was killed along with her by a gunman who was yelling "Free Palestine." President Donald Trump replied immediately on Truth Social, "These horrible DC killings based obviously on anti-Semitism must end now. Hatred and radicalism have no place in the USA. Condolences to the families of the victims. So sad that such things as this can happen. God bless you all." This is, of course, tumultuous because President Donald Trump has been seeking a deal with Iran to stop all of this pro-Palestinian radical terrorist, backing, and to get them to stop financing the Houthis and Hamas and everyone else, while again ceasing to try to refine uranium to make a nuclear weapon. And he's close to a deal with Iran, but at the same time, Israel is furious with Iran, and they are discussing and planning the bombing of their nuclear facilities, which would, of course, enrage Iran and create more, I guess we would say more fuel and fire in the Middle East. So this is something I assume there'll be retaliation for. President Donald Trump now finding himself in a negotiating position once again for some diplomacy in the face of what could be a potentially disastrous situation. We will be following that, of course, later today as we get to our second daily podcast. Mark Kaye saves the Republic. Every single day, there's so much news that this one morning podcast isn't even enough. That's why we go live at 1 p.m. Eastern every single day on all of our live streaming platforms. You can download our podcast on iTunes or Google Play I think Google Play's gone, Spotify, wherever you want, and you can listen to Mark Kaye Saves the Republic. Download, listen, and enjoy.